Oh, hi, thanks for checking in. I'm
Still a piece of garbage. Still a piece of garbage. Still a piece of, still a piece of, still a piece of garbage. Still a piece of, still a piece of, still a piece of garbage.
Yes, the Dandadan video. When it comes to discussing Dandadan, I gotta say, there is a lot to unpack when it comes to this show, bruh. Alright, to put it in layman's terms, Dandadan is weird as shit.
You will either leave immediately or give us your banana.
Kill me.
Like, to put it into perspective what I mean for those of you who have no idea what Dandadan even is, you know how in most shonen anime you have an overarching goal that drives the overall story to progress? For example, teenage boy gets his family killed by Michael Jackson and his sister is now a demon and for some unexplained reason is also illiterate, so he spends the rest of his time training to kill the demon king of pop music. Or, teenage boy eats an ancient nigga's musty-ass finger to save somebody and is now forced to track down and consume 19 other ancient musty-ass fingers before he finally dies. Well, in Dandadan's case, we have teenage boy gets his glizzy snatched by diddler granny and is now cursed to turn into a glizzy gobbler himself if he doesn't get his ding-dong back. Yeah, it's about as crazy as it sounds. Now the thing about Dandadan is, despite the level of wild shit that happens in the show, the anime itself is actually pretty good. Only this is probably one of the biggest hear me out type of shows you'll ever come across. But before I start giving my thoughts on the show, I first want to do two main things. One, I want to remind you guys to like, comment, and subscribe because if you're still watching this, I must be doing something right. And two, I want to give a brief summary on the initial plot of the show to kind of put y'all on game real quick. And yes, I'll try to keep it short for those of you who have attention spans worse than myself here. So off rip, in the first episode, we see our female MC Momo Ayase having an argument with her bum-ass boyfriend who decides to break up with her because she won't give him money to take her out. Now afterwards, she's obviously pretty bummed out about this, so she's moping down the hallway and looks into a classroom and sees this nerdy kid whose name I will not mention, but for the sake of this video, let's address bro as Mob. Now Momo decides to sit down with him to check his bullies, but they immediately stop messing with him the second they realize that bro's actually got game. Now in case you haven't figured it out yet, the homie Mob is actually our male MC. So afterwards, Momo then proceeds to Dofi walk down the hallway again. And of course, not even 10 seconds later, the homie Mob pulls up on her like, I know exactly why you talked to me just now. You're into aliens too, aren't you? Skibbity. So bro ends up going on an entire rant about aliens and she ends up blowing up on him and just tells him to piss off. But then the guilt started to hit and she goes back to apologize. She then opens up to him and says that she believes in ghosts but not aliens. But then bro starts laughing in her face and says ghosts aren't even real. Valid troll behavior, by the way. They then start having a big argument about it and dare each other to go to haunted and alien populated areas to prove which one of them is right. And long story short, they end up finding out the hard way that both their dumbasses were right. Because apparently both of them did not have enough melanin to understand that this was not a good idea. Because Mob ends up running into a freaky ass ghost that goes by the name of Turbo Granny. However, a much more accurate title for her would be Glizzy Gobbler Granny.
I'll let you suckle my teats, boy. If you let me gobble your dong.
I want the bumbleclad! And Momo ends up getting abducted by freaky-ass aliens, and I will not be describing anything more that happens on her side for the sake of my own psychological well-being. But by the end of the episode, they both manage to escape their respective situations, and Momo ends up awakening psychic powers while Mob now has Glizzy Gobbler powers. Which in essence, he now has superhuman strength and speed when he transforms, except he no longer has anything between his legs and will uncontrollably get possessed by Glizzy Gobbler Granny if Momo isn't using her powers to suppress the curse. And now they essentially have no other choice but to spend the majority of the story trying to get bro's Glizzy back in order to lift the curse. Yeah, I don't have the neurons to make this kind of shit up. Now I feel it's safe to say that after getting a grasp on just how absolutely bonkers insane this show is, it begs the question, why exactly does this show get so much love from the community? And well, if I had to give a reason, I'd say the reason most people enjoy the show, including myself, is the opening. Well, that ain't the reason, but that opening low-key massages my brainstem for real. But real talk, the most enjoyable thing about this show would have to be the characters, to be honest. Now, while there are also smaller elements that contribute to enhancing the overall experience of the show, like the buttery smooth animation, for example, that low-key feels like a perfect fusion between old school and modern day animation styles, the characters are what I'd say really give this show its own unique appeal, as the characters provide what I can only describe as a healthy balance between realism and comedy. Like, I could deadass be seeing these characters being in a serious life or death situation and they will somehow find a way to lighten the mood with some wacky ass comment or some random shit. But the thing I personally enjoy the most about these characters would have to be the chemistry between them, particularly the chemistry between our two MCs. Now obviously Dandadan isn't the first shonen anime to run the male and female protagonist narrative, but I feel like Dandadan's way of going about it actually sticks out from the rest because this dynamic just felt perfectly natural to me. And it's actually an interaction that I can see happening in real life, which relates back to what I said earlier about the show having good portrayal of realism with its characters. And for a show like Dandadan where the story is heavily focused on the dark world of the paranormal, I feel like having characters like these help to make the experience more lighthearted and fun despite what the story is about. And if you're able to get past all the Diddy influence, then it's a pretty enjoyable show to watch. But those are just my thoughts and opinions based on the episodes that have been released so far. And as more episodes release, I might give the show a revisit. Or I might not. Yeah, you never really know with me because my upload schedule is about as unpredictable as the show itself, to be honest.